Like pixels on a screen, these are the games of our lives. Okay, welcome. This is the first episode of what is tentatively being called The Games of Our Lives with Mike and Chris. I am Chris, and joining me now and in the future, hopefully, is my good friend Mike. Say hello, Mike.
Hello, Mike. Sorry, couldn't resist.
What? And that sets the comedy tone for this show. Dad jokes, basically.
Yep.
That is our shtick. Mike and I know each other from college. Goddamn, it's been like 8 years now. No, more than that. 12 years we've known each other. How crazy is that?
Oh man, I'm just depressed thinking about numbers.
Yeah, I know. We're getting old, buddy.
Indeed.
So the idea behind the show is that there are millions, I guess, other better places to get games news and reviews and stuff you can use. This is just going to be for us. This is just me and Mike talking, giving our views on stuff. And it'll start this week with a question to you, Mike. What have you been playing?
Well, I'm still I'm trying to get through Hotline Miami too.
Are you enjoying it so far?
You know what? I like it. I've gotten to the point in the game where it just seems like work.
Oh yeah, I never really got into Hotline Miami 1. I didn't get very far because I found it difficult and I wasn't ready to put the time into it yet. I'll probably get back to it later.
Yeah, I feel like this one, as opposed to the first one, the levels just seem longer. So every time I start a new level, I'm like, well, I hope I have an hour carved out to run through this.
It sounds pretty brutal. So it like from everything I'm hearing, it sounds like it's just more of the same and a lot of bullshit story heaped on top of it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I was thinking it's probably one of the more, I'm trying to think what would be the most embarrassing game for someone to walk in, watch you play for 5 minutes and just be like, what the hell are you playing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because like I don't know if you remember when the big that Florida lawyer and talk gaming and
Jack Thompson.
Yes, yeah, and it was this game has you murdering people for points, and everyone's like, no, that's not it at all.
That's video games.
That's exactly Hotline Miami too.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, you're just doing as efficient murder as possible, one after another to try to rack up murder combos.
Nice.
It's fun. It scratches that itch, that roguelike itch I have of repeated failure.
It doesn't seem to have the randomness though that roguelikes tout. So I guess maybe you'd get discouraged at some point. I mean, have you hit the point where you've done a level so often that you just don't want to do it anymore?
Oh yeah, definitely. I guess maybe something like Super Meat Boy might be the better comparison, where you know exactly what you have to do and it just comes to memorizing the pattern.
Yeah. I've never been really good at twin stick shooters. We both played Nuclear Throne and trying to play that with a controller just it falls apart in my hands, basically. So twin stick shooters like that, not a big fan.
Right, and you can play it. I was reading a negative review about it because I was like, I wonder what other people are thinking. And one of the negative reviews mentioned how you had to use the look ahead button. And I remember thinking like, oh, there's a look ahead button in this game? I had no idea.
Wow.
I had to just start hitting random. I'm like, oh shit, you hold down shift and you can look ahead? This is amazing.
I guess that's like a lot like Spelunky.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. Where you just sort of finds game. I mean, they tell you all you need to know, but you still just sort of find things accidentally.
I mean, when you do it, the few times in Hotline Miami 1 where I actually pulled off what I intended to do, like, okay, I want to slam through the door, knock this dude down, grab his baseball bat, and smash his head in. It feels pretty good when you can accomplish it, but it felt really hit or miss for me.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can understand. I'm not gonna, some games you love and you just feel the need to, make sure everyone else loves it as much as you do. That's not me in Hotline Miami.
I am. Then this leads to what I've been playing this week is that in the last year I've sort of become and you and maybe the listeners of home have come to watch me become a sort of a Souls game evangelist. And in the last year, I've played and beaten Dark Souls 1, 2, 2 I did a couple times, and I picked up, because I am definitely looking forward to playing Bloodborne at some point, I picked up Demon Souls, which is sort of the progenitor of that series, and maybe the closest thing to a prequel to Bloodborne, just in a different setting. And what I've been playing this week is I dipped into the Scholar of the First Sin update for Dark Souls 2.
Is that for the PC port?
So, yeah, it gets complicated here. The Dark Souls 2 originally released for 360, PS3, PC. The PC was easily the best version because it actually ran at 60 frames per second, and you could upgrade the graphics so that it actually looked nice. The Scholar of the First Sin is the version that they technically, quote-unquote, remastered and updated for next-gen consoles, Xbox One, PS4. They also released it on PC, what is essentially the DX11/DX12 version. And you can buy, if you've bought Dark Souls 2, any version of Dark Souls 2, whether or not you pay it for the DLC, I don't think it's still $20, but when I did it, it was $20. You get basically a new game. And
that's nice.
It's the same game, but they changed around enough that it is kind of worth it if you really enjoy these games, and you've spent, like me, you've spent a lot of time with Dark Souls 2. Like, I put 80 hours into it. I know pretty much where everything is in that game. And you go into even the tutorial zone, and things are different, and it's weird, and it throws you off. And I think that's really interesting. There are a lot of people mad about it because it's a $20 maybe graphical upgrade that didn't need to happen.
Did they just shift around where monsters are?
In some cases, yes. They moved around item locations. They added new NPCs. They made some monsters tougher. There are new monsters in it. And in a game where all of that stuff is incredibly carefully considered, down to minute detail of where the monster starts in the room, it makes a big difference. Like, experienced Souls players will go through like one of the first areas in the game and be like, wait a minute, he's not supposed to be there. And then they'll kill the boss in that zone and be like, wait a minute, what is happening now? I don't know what's going on. Help. And okay. I think that's really interesting. And it was definitely worth the $20 to me. Definitely not worth it to everybody. If you've never played Dark Souls 2, if you've never owned it, by Scholar of the First Sin, you won't even notice the difference. It maybe is a little bit harder to get into, and I always thought that Dark Souls 2 was the most accessible of those games, so it kind of decreases that a little bit, but the systems are still the same, and it's definitely easier to get into than Dark Souls 1 or Demon Souls. So even if you bought the original one, maybe you never played it, and didn't buy any of the DLC, then buying the $20 upgrade just gets you all of the DLC too, which is really good DLC. So it's not a bad pickup.
You know, it kind of reminds me. I remember when Binding of Isaac Rebirth was announced, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? It's a graphical update." And they added a few new items, and then I ended up putting 83 hours into that one. I just checked.
Yeah, I've been playing that too. Not so much lately, but yeah, I never really got into the original Binding of Isaac because playing it on a keyboard was a little.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah. You playing anything else this week?
No, pretty much. I tried picking up. I was doing really well in the Zelda 3DS Link Between Worlds. I'm really blanking on the name here.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm trying to pick that up. I don't know if pretty much at this point on PC and 3DS.
Yeah, I've been... did you ever play Bravely Default on the 3DS?
I did, and that was a game I power leveled. I think I have to add it to the list of games that I'm at the final dungeon and have no desire to beat. Really?
You made it all the way? Well, what chapter were you on?
Man, I'd have to load up the game again. But I got to the point where I pretty much This is a minor spoiler warning, where you pretty much have to go through the game again.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I was pretty much just running through that because that game is it's hilarious how it just is built for power leveling. Like, you can literally do it while not paying attention.
It trivializes the grinding aspect, which I think in that kind of traditional Final Fantasy style RPG is great.
Oh yeah, I loved it. But what happened was I pretty much got to the point where I'm like, well, there's really no more improvement to do. And then I'm like, oh, there's still game left.
Well, okay.
And that was my own fault.
Yeah, and they I saw a trailer for the sequel, and it looks pretty cool, so I'm going to try to finish that up. For. We'll see. So, what are you looking forward to playing in the future?
So I was looking at some sites, and Killing Floor 2 comes out in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
I don't know if you played the first Killing Floor.
I have it. I don't think I've ever booted it
up.
I
think everyone has it because I'm pretty sure on Steam it was like they gave you money. It was $- after a while. And it's one of those games that I'll be like, oh yeah, Killing Floor. That was all right. And then you go back and you're like, oh man, I've been playing that off and on for 4 years. I mean, just every time you load it up, there's something new. And
yeah, I've heard that is a game that is constantly getting meaningful free updates.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive, and I really wasn't expecting it at all. Although that game, I think, had the problem. I never was really into MMOs, and the Killing Floor game had, to me, like the weirdest experience curve, where like each class had 6 levels, and basically in the course of you enjoying a game, you could get to like level 4. And then if you wanted to get level 5 and 6, you basically had to play for hundreds and hundreds of hours. It was just such a sharp uptick.
That's weird.
And you know what? Payday does the same thing. Payday and Payday 2. Where you'll get halfway in Payday, you're going up to 100. You'll get halfway, and then it's just you look at the numbers, you're like, no, this is ridiculous. It's literally 100 hours to max out this one thing.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm trying to think of. I mean, the game we were just talking about, Bravely Default, does that where there's a big gap, but as we said, it's easy to trivialize it. But yeah, I can't imagine getting most of the way through progression, but in like 1/10 of the total required time. That seems like really disheartening.
Yeah, it's really kind of bizarre. I guess it's sort of the downside of the RPG elements and shooters, right? Which everyone's like, oh yeah, love it, and Call of Duty and perks and level ups, but then you're like, oh no, grinding.
I mean, but like those the experience and the leveling mechanics in shooters like that are pretty much designed for the endorphin of you leveled up. I mean, they don't seem to be meaningful in any way. You don't get stronger. You don't shoot better because you leveled up.
No, but I think depending on what game, like for example, Payday. I mean, to get the high-level perks makes a massive difference in the game.
Have you gotten that far?
I've gone far enough in the game that basically I've like maxed out the tree I was doing. There's like 4 trees. And then what happened was they got so many people were asking for end-of-game content that what they did was they introduced something called the infamy system, which is basically the equivalent of prestige in Call of Duty games or Battlefield games.
Where you start over.
Yeah, and you reset to 0 or 1, and then you get a sweet pair of shades, which at the time was a big deal because you never saw their faces. They always wore the masks. This was the first time you kind of saw the character's face. And then, so you get the shades, and then there's another infamy tree, and you can go up to infamy 5.
So you go through the game 5 times.
Yes.
Oh, God.
I mean, some people have done it. That game is terrible for hacking. Like, it's filthy with it.
I bet.
Yeah, if you ever see someone like, oh, infamy level 5, you don't believe them. It's just, yeah, right.
Unless you check their Steam logs and they've dropped 1,000 hours on it.
Yeah, that's what it would have to take.
Ugh.
Or you keep doing the same, high value heist over and over and over again.
But perfectly.
Yeah, and I mean, it's possible. Generally when I play with my friends, we're not that good. Pit is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of frustrating to fail at stealth, but we keep doing it.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
But they actually, that game, that's actually another game. They charge for updates, but there's some significant difference in gameplay from when you first got it to what you play now.
And they have a lot of theme packs too, I've seen.
Yeah. Sorry, I blanked. I was trying to remember.
That's fine. That's fine. Well,
I have very strong feelings for and against Payday. Oh, I remember. For Payday, the big change they made, and they took away a bunch of the stealth options that basically made it what they called a strategic murder simulator.
Classic Jack Thompson.
Absolutely. And so, because basically the most effective way to stealth the mission was to murder the guards and then hide the guards properly. And they put some things in place. You had like body bag, and you could only answer when you kill a guard. Basically, they call the guard's dead body, and you have to like pick up the phone and say, "He's not here, man." But so they removed that. They added body bag limits. They added regenerating guards, so you can't just keep murdering.
The boss fountain.
Yeah, basically, like, where do they keep coming from? Worst temp ever.
You got to go to the wizard that's spawning them and kill him.
Obviously.
Eventually, they stop giving XP. Oh no! For my part, as I mentioned earlier, Bloodborne and the forthcoming Persona 5 have locked me into eventually getting a PS4. We'll see when that happens. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing those. GTA 5 is coming out on the PC. I've not pre-ordered it because I did play it already on PS3, so I'll maybe wait until there's a sale or a good deal there, because I am interested in actually trying the online at some point, because the heists, all the YouTube videos I've seen of the heists look really cool, but I would have to do it with randos, and that does not seem fun.
No, any of those heist pre-planning games, that's always the issue.
Yeah. I mean, our brief forays into Dota 2, my briefer foray into Dota 2 showed that I do not want to play with people who I do not personally know and could call their mother if I had to.
No, that game is punishing for sort of verbal abuse, I'll say.
Yeah, but the graphical updates look really incredible, so I'm looking forward to maybe eventually picking that up and going through it again.
So I've not played GTA 5. I've played it. I do not own it. I have completely ruined by Steam sales though. I remember the last game I spent $50. I think probably 60. I don't even know. I think it might have been Wasteland 2. I think I did buy that full price.
Yeah. No, I'll do it occasionally because I have poor impulse control.
That's what this entire industry is built on, Chris.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't buy a lot of games anymore. Well, actually, I buy more games now than I ever have in the past. But I buy a lot of smaller games. I do not buy a lot of big games in a year.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the amount of $15, $20 games is usually what I get.
Like, probably the best purchase I've made this year was City Skylines, and that was $30. And that is an amazing sim game. Like, if you played SimCity, or if you were looking forward to SimCity and then were just totally wrecked by how shittily it turned out, you pick up City Skylines, and it'll blow you away about how, like, they took all of the advancements that would have gone into SimCity and made it great are in that game, and they are executed well, and it has full 100% mod support. So it just gets better and better.
So what's the longest you've built a city before unleashing Godzilla on it?
Well, it does not appear that there are adversities like that. It's more like there's a bug in the game where if you zone a lot of residential and it all gets built up very quickly, at some point, like 10 game years down the line, you will have like a giant wave of people dying, and there will be a crisis where like your cemeteries and crematoriums literally cannot handle the deluge of bodies.
That's kind of amazing. Are you actually building crematoriums?
Yeah. There are so many systems. Like, if the last sim game you played was SimCity 2000, you will be overwhelmed, and it's like the way I described it is like there's a 5-city learning curve. You will start and trash 5 cities before you start to grasp the systems involved.
That's fair.
But I mean, starting and stopping a city is really easy, and you don't feel too bad about it. And there's a lot of variety, and you can just get, as I said, there's mods for days. So, I mean, you can rebuild Manhattan if you want to.
I'm just reminded of you remember that Reddit thread maybe a year back or something where someone made the Hellscape Civilization game that just kept going.
Oh yeah, where it never ended and it was just nuclear fallout.
Yeah, that's just what I'm thinking of with these games.
I mean, yeah, but as I said, there's no like disasters or adversity, so the worst thing you'll have to deal with is maybe there's a garbage crisis and a lot of people move out. You'll learn that you don't want to put your sewage outflow upstream of your water inflow. That's probably a bad idea.
That's great that the game is that in depth.
Yeah, it blew me away, and I was looking forward to that new SimCity, but I didn't end up ever buying it even because it turned to shit.
I'm just I'm thinking like for the next one, if they do add a disasters tab, it would be like, disasters, gentrification. It's like, oh no, property values are too high.
Like, here's the thing. So there's 2 levels of residential zoning. There's also 2 levels of commercial. There's low density and high density. And the difference between them, obviously, apart from the number of families that move in, is that in the high density, you get more young people, and in the low density, you get more adults. So you can literally have neighborhoods where it's all youths and all olds.
Youths.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but we've been talking about that long enough. So the only really newsy thing that I wanted to talk about was the new Deus Ex trailer. Did you have a chance to see it?
I did watch it.
It looks pretty good.
I am in the tank for Deus Ex.
Did you played Human Revolution, I assume?
I did. I'm also probably one of the few people who is willing to say Deus Ex Invisible War is a good game.
Interesting. I don't know if I could take that leap. I've never played it, but yeah,
well, no. That was the height of PC people bitching about console ports.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I remember that time. But yeah, no, I loved Human Revolution, and in fact, now that since the announcement, I'm gonna reinstall it and boot it up again at some point.
They have added some DLC. I haven't played the DLC. I'm bad. I almost never go back to DLC.
Oh yeah.
Once I'm done with the game, I'm usually just got it done.
Yeah, I think I loaded up the DLC before moving on from that game. The one where you're trying to escape from the ship, the missing link one. But I picked up the director's cut edition on a Steam sale, so I'm gonna boot that up. I realized, and I feel bad for saying this, that I think that was the last game I ever pirated.
Wow.
Yeah, because I couldn't find it in my Steam library, and I couldn't find it, I didn't have a box, so, I don't know how I played it originally. It must have been, the last thing that I ever pirated. And I apologize.
Man, that takes me back.
I apologize, Square Enix, if you're listening, or Eidos Montreal, if you're listening. I did buy it, eventually. You have received my money for it.
That's good. You don't want those Canadians angry at you.
No, because the anger of a quiet beaver is not something you want.
And they're all cyborgs, right?
Well, yes. I mean, it's the future. So, yes. But doesn't that game? Yeah, that takes place in Detroit, technically.
Yeah, like Techno Neo Detroit or something.
So the next game will have RoboCop in it.
Oh wait,
no, Adam Jensen is the RoboCop,
I was gonna say he basically is RoboCop.
Robo Jesus Cop.
Don't forget the cyborg shades.
Oh god, I love those so much. They're so dumb, and I love them.
That'd be the first upgrade I think everyone would ask for. Like, oh, so you want super strength? How about those sunglasses? That
I just want the ones that flip out, so I can do some really good CSI Miami bits. Or rather, CSI Detroit.
CSI Detroit, man, that would be that wouldn't be a weekly show. That's a daily show.
Yeah, that is depressing. Well, it has been about 20 minutes, and I think that's a good enough length for this first episode. I want to thank my good friend Mike for joining me in the games of our lives, and I want to thank you for listening. If you liked what you hear, we're gonna try to do this every week on Monday, as schedules allow. And if you're watching this on YouTube, which you probably are, go ahead and poke around the rest of the channel. I've started a new video series where I'm playing a game called the Urquan Masters, which is basically the what's the word I'm like, open source version of Star Control 2. You ever play that, Mike?
No, I haven't.
It's really good. Well, what I've played so far, and you can see in it the mold for every science fiction video game that's ever come out. It's basically like it's a proto Mass Effect. There's Halo stuff in there. I mean, there's even like some Metal Gear stuff, I think. Like I saw stuff that reminded me of Metal Gear. And it's
This is a recent game?
No, it's from the 90s.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's the proto version of all those science fiction epics. And I'm enjoying it so far. So that's going up on the site. Other than that, I just want to thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me, Mike. And
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Hey friends, Chris here. I wanted to thank you again for listening to the first episode of the Games of Our Lives. As we said, we'll try to get up a new episode every Monday, as we can. If you've got feedback for us, why not leave it in the comments below? Or drop me a line on Twitter. I am at fractruck_games. Check out some of the other videos on the channel and subscribe if you want to see more. See you next time.